Well, it looks like we have a winner of the primary in New York. This is just the primary. So we will have, then they got to battle it out. So Zoran Mamdani was declared the winner. Good job to him. Of course, he is controversial. I guess he has made some pro Hamas statements, Hamas being a terrorist organization that has called for the extermination of the Jews. So if you're backing an organization that wants to exterminate the Jews, that's not a pro-Palestinian. We're pro-Palestinian. We want peace and happiness and harmony, so we can say we're pro-Palestinian, but that doesn't involve killing Jews. So it involves people coming together and creating and deciding they've had enough of fighting and we're going to work together, right? So he is definitely controversial. Do I think he could win? Yes, I think he could win. But I also think that an independent or a moderate Republican like Bloomberg could come in and take it from him because he is such a controversial character. The other criticism I think that people are saying about him is that he simply doesn't have the experience, and that the role of being a oops, I got to mute that. Sorry about that. I'm just getting myself together here. So the other feeling is that it's a very serious job, being the mayor of New York City. And does this person, Zoran, have the experience? So it was against him and Andrew Cuomo for the Democratic Party, and a lot of people were really turned off because of allegations that Andrew Cuomo had been, sexually harassing people. He was acting like a bit of a thug in the workplace, like Italian mafioso type of a guy, intimidation, threatening, bullying, sexually inappropriate, Gambino family kind of behavior, and that turned people off. So it wasn't necessarily, so they didn't necessarily like this guy or that guy. So Zahar Mamdani, I think he wins by what, 37% or something like that. So we're not talking 36.4 for Cuomo and 43.5. That's pretty good when you're talking about a choice ranking. The question is, what if a moderate Republican comes in and uses the fact, I'm almost thinking that the Republicans pushed to get this guy in there, and that we got played, and now they can come in with a moderate Republican. We're always getting played. And that's the thing I don't like. We're always getting played. I don't like, I don't know. And at the same time, who wants to take a guy who is harassing people? You know what I mean? Okay, first question. Shalom, shalom. Lisa, can you please ask if America will see any kind of attack? I think that we can go back to what the computer said. And the computer said that Russia would fall first. This is not remote viewing. I want to be very clear that I did not, we're not talking about remote viewing here. We're talking about just data collection. And if you're asking just a non-biased computer what we should do, then the computer would say, well, first you're going to take out Iran, and then after you take out Iran, you're going to take out the other guy. That's what the computer is saying. So is that it? Trying to find I did it for you guys. I'm all over the place today. Okay, let's see here. I want to get a good image of this thing. Oh, I know how to find it. Is that it? I'm talking to myself. Just ignore me. We had we worked with some computers a couple of years ago when I was working on a doctoral degree for the peace, creating peace zones uh, between Jews and between the Israelis and the Palestinians. We were trying to create peace zones in Gaza and the West Bank, right? So um, then I started fiddling. No, I don't want to see people dying. I don't want to see children dying. Who wants to see that? Normal people don't want to see that, right? So I started fiddling with some computers. I started using Grok, and Grok is connected to a really amazing computer that probably the IDF is using, which is the Colossus computer. And then you have the public available, just regular Grok, which is kind of neat also. But so according to then I also used Nomi. I used Chat. I wasn't too happy with Chat GPT, to be honest with you. I'm not too impressed by Chat GPT. I just don't think that they do the best job in the world. I think you can get better access to information. I do like Nomi because you can have a boyfriend. You can have my Nomi thinks that he's a tulpal. I don't know. Anyway, this is, I don't know. I can't find the better version for some reason. It seems to have gotten knocked off. So was ceasefire that we would see it go. This is how the computer says it will probably go down. How it will go down. This wonderful situation we're talking about. If you people were saying, "Are you sure you're not being biased?" I'm like, "What?" I gave this to Joe Biden. What are you talking about? Ceasefire. I'm sorry, it's not a very good vision of this. Ceasefire, exchange of hostages and prisoners. Hamas would go to a host country. The people of Gaza would be able to rebuild their country without the fear of being held hostage by an Iranian proxy army. Putin would be contained, probably house arrest or something like that. Then we would see the dismantling of Iranian leadership. And then after that's done and they have stabilized their countries, they can come into the Abraham Accords. And that is how you get to peace in the Middle East. So for that reason, and because of how Trump is, like I said, it's not being run by Trump, it's being run by the intelligence agencies. So he's now focusing on getting rid of Putin. Step 4, it's going to be hard to remove Iran. We've certainly softened Iran for the final blow, right? But the data seem to suggest that Putin needs to go first. And in fact, Putin is threatening to attack NATO. He's threatening to attack the East. So in answer to your question, are we talking about getting attacked? They're going to try to attack us with drones, which is a really smart way to do it, right? Because there are a lot of people that have drones, and it's, if you're looking at what happened in New Jersey, anybody can bring up drones, and then the US government doesn't know what to do about it. They can be Chinese drones, they can be spy drones. If a lot of them were launched at once, it would be very difficult for us, particularly if they were at certain low altitudes. It'd be very hard for us to control it or shoot them down. And if they were loaded with weaponry. So that is what the vision has been. So if that's the vision, then I'm picking up on the thought forms of the terrorists. That's what they're trying to do. And we're talking about really advanced drones being assembled in basements. Hanging it up. There could be that it could be a situation where they were notified that somebody was on to them or something. It looks like they were going to launch an attack and then they put a hold on it. their opposition would be impoverished. So America is beaten down. We've never seen homelessness like the homelessness we see right now. We've never seen this kind of division amongst the American people, maybe in the Civil War, but I've never seen, I grew up in Portland and we used to just walk with our money to go and get whatever mommy wants, a container of milk, a stick of butter, right? A loaf of bread, a container of milk, and a stick of butter, right? Remember that commercial? So, I mean, that thing from, what was it? Sesame Street, right? Yeah, so we didn't think that there would be armed guards at Safeway and that there would be people lying around dying of diseases and drug addiction because of the opium war we currently have with China. So I remember when it was a very different Portland. It was a beautiful town. We had a few homeless, but nothing like now. So we're seeing a lot of economic challenges in the United States, and we're also seeing that it could be the reason we're having trouble responding to the fact that we're under attack. We have sleeper cells coming in at this time. Final outcome for the situation is grief. So we have a problem because these people are already here, which begs the question, why are they here? Why would pro-Iranians be living in the United States if we have been at war with Iran? We're not officially at war, but they keep killing Americans, 300 and something in Lebanon, firing at U.S. troops via the Houthi, various different terrorist attacks which have been funded, attempting to assassinate the president. All of this stuff is coming from Iran. So we really are at war and have been at war with Iran since 1979. And the reason I say why are they here is because you're not a refugee from Iran if you support the current regime. The people that came in after 1979 and fled, they came to the United States because they were trying to get away from this regime. So the fact that they're protesting in Dearborn, Michigan because they support this guy, then why don't you go live there? I mean, I don't understand why you're here. You don't need to be. You support, you're marching as U.S. citizens against a country that's at war with the United States since 1979. You're not refugees. You believe in this. You believe in what they're doing. So you should go back to the country that you support. That's not the same thing as somebody who's fleeing from Venezuela or fleeing from Haiti because they're trying to get away from a war. You're saying that you are 100% behind Ali Khamani. So you have no reason to be in the United States. What's your justification? You're not a refugee, right? So that's the other thing that we have to ask ourselves as Americans. We brought in a lot of Iranians who claimed that they were fleeing from that country because they were opposed to it and because they were pro-American. So we brought them in here. And in fact, the majority of Iranians in the United States do not support this regime. But what of everybody else? Did they lie on their applications? So that's confusing to me. I don't get that. I don't get why all these pro-Iranian anti-Americans are marching against America. Why are you here at all? Go back to support the country and the regime that you support. So there's a real intolerance here also from Iranian leadership. Ali's people, they've gone back to repairing their nuclear sites. They've moved the uranium. Now there's another nuclear site that was just discovered where because they are determined to drop an atomic bomb. If you are using it for radioisotopes, you don't hide it 600 feet underground, right? So, and there's this, they're not going to stop, right? So the question is, can you negotiate with a country that's being overrun by terrorists? The whole world is in high alert. I think that this is a time when NATO and the United States is going to be a strong part of NATO in the sense that what you feel with this energy, Three of Wands they have to strengthen NATO. And that means bringing Ukraine into NATO. And that means that the United States has to strengthen its commitment to NATO. And much of the problem is Putin. So they first have to contain Putin. But you can see this world coming together with the Three of Wands over the issue of America's grief. You can see this intolerance by Iran. The opposition, we keep trying to get a deal. A deal while they're building nuclear bombs, 600, it's just not going to work. They want, the Ali Khamani wants to take over the world, so he intends on taking over the world and turning it into, he wants the entire world to be part of his Islamic caliphate. He's open about it. He's written about it. So how do you respond to that? So I think the West has gotten real about this in the sense that this is a war, and this is a time of unity where the West has to come together and accept that Putin is a real threat and that Iran is a real threat. They work together. They're allies. But I think the focus here feels like Russia and Ukraine, and it feels to me like that is where we're headed right now, is to take out Putin first, which makes sense because that computer kind of spit it out that we do that first before we see that's why I was confused. I was like, they're going to take out Iran first? I thought we had to take out Putin first, because I was just looking at the computer. So now they're turning attention back to Putin. So this was a weakening of the regime, but there's still more to do in terms of seeing the fall of Iran. Yeah. So the America is weakened, but we will come together. Be alert, be aware, and don't be nervous, but just be aware that this didn't just bring the sleeper cells. It's not like Trump caused this. They've been intending on taking over for some time. So you can't blame him for that. But we have to, and people are afraid that they're going to be called racist. But that's not what's happening. We're not kicking out Iranians. It's terrorists that support Khamenei's regime probably don't need to be in the United States. Well, they lied on their application. They're not refugees, clearly. They love what he's doing. Is Putin alive? Whoa, that is the ultimate question, isn't it? You would think that they would have gotten rid of this guy by now. And if they had gotten rid of Putin, that they would have ended the war. Let's take a look. Putin's health. Is Putin alive? He's a fool who took the leap of faith. This guy wanted Ukraine, like Trump said, it was the apple of his eye. Trump is right about that. The opposition to Putin is going to win this war and wants it done. We want it done, and we want it done now. 30 days, finish this. Remember, Ace of Wands is strength, right? Just like when Nero got my strength to you. I'm giving you my strength, right? The hope and the fear that the truth will come out. Archangel Michael with the sword of truth comes to him. And also it's the archangel that protects Ukraine. It's not looking good for Putin. Final outcome for Putin. He will hang up the war. He's not dead, but how does he get out of this? Because 1 million people are dead on his side. But hanged man, you know what? Trump is not going to put up with this guy because it's not part of the 5 phases that the computer came up with. So it doesn't seem likely that he is dead, but it also, it's looking pretty bad for Putin in terms of the chances that he would win this war with this kind of juxtaposition. This is not somebody who's looking too good. He will, whether he wants to accept it or not, he is going to have to accept that he has lost this war. He was foolish. Ace of Wands is a war cry, too. There he goes. Nine of Cups is to have to go, to leave. His opposition, NATO, no, this is non-negotiable. He's threatening now other countries. The world is behind Ukraine. They're done with this guy. Yeah, he is very lucky. You know, he's got the star on him, but they will let him live if he leaves. He's got the star over him on condition that he leave. So they're not going to kill him. And, you know, this is the thing that I like about computers, because I am so emotional that it's like, kill him, drag him to court. But they're saying, do you want this nightmare to end soon? Do you want to save lives? Yes, let him go. Let him go, retire to a villa, and he can say that he had been planning his retirement. Give him an out, and the out looks to be a retirement. Hanged man, the star would lead me to think that they're not going to assassinate him. We could be surprised, but the cards would indicate that the guy's got great luck. He is leaving, though.